Hi, I'm Chase Banger, and this is Back to Basics. With technology advancing more quickly than ever, meet a collection of people who prefer to do things the old-fashioned way. Back to Basics is a segment about people who insist on doing things as they've always been, despite the rapidly modernizing practices that make things easier. You know the kind of person we're talking about. In its simplest, it could be someone who prefers to make coffee on the stovetop. And in its most extreme, it could be someone who lives totally off-grid. Back to Basic aims to explore the relatable factions of these people in order to discover why they do what they do. For the past decade, IKEA and other box stores have dominated people's shopping habits. On this episode of Back to Basics, we join the team at Lush Woodcraft as we learn about the process of handmade wood furniture and why their customers are returning to their craft.
My name is Paul Nicholas.
My name is Jen. My name is Katie Billow, and I'm a woodworker.
It used to be made solid. It used to be made by hand, really made to last. This stuff is really beautiful and timeless, and I think people are really coming around to that. And it kind of comes back to the basics. To see that raw material come to life into a really beautiful finished piece of furniture, I think that's why I love this kind of work.
People are realizing that they hate having to buy the same thing every 3 years from a big box store because it breaks apart, and they're really seeing the value in spending a little bit of extra money and waiting that little extra time to get the perfect piece that's going to look good and last. I really think there's something cool about owning a piece of furniture that 100 years from now your great-grandkids might get to use. So I think people are really getting back to that mentality.
All of our employees do this work and love this work because they have a passion for working with their hands, and really everybody here is fairly creative, so they like looking at the design and kind of scratching their heads and going, okay, how are we going to build this? And I think everybody that works here loves the creative part of it, really seeing something come together, and they're all hard workers. They all love making something and really building it from the ground up.
Most of the people that work here are very passionate woodworkers and just love what they do and love creating quality, custom, one-of-a-kind pieces and working with wood. We want to make sure that every little piece that we create is really quality, handcrafted, and every little speck of that dining table has been looked over with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that it's perfect. You get to start with just a doodle or a sketch or an idea in your head, and then you get to pick the wood that you want to use, you get to pick the grain direction and the colors and the cuts and everything, and then all of a sudden you have a piece of furniture that you can use. Being able to look back and say, hey, we did this.
You get to go to that restaurant and sit at the tables that you made, or you get to go to the store and see your furniture in there. That's definitely the most rewarding part, when you can look at what you've made and just be proud of it.
Now on Back to Basics, we'll meet a leather worker who's new into the scene. Find out what drives this leather worker professional and how he found his passion for his craft.
I guess I was inspired by a multitude of factors, but I really just saw the simplicity in one particular item that I got, and I was using for myself, and that kind of led me towards certain different social media outlets and YouTube tutorials, and yeah, it really just blossomed from there. I didn't really see many I guess leather makers in Canada, apart from a select few. So it's been nice to see the excitement on people's faces who are into these types of things, and yeah, so it's been very personal. All these types of, not really industries, but facets are kind of reviving right now. It has a whole history behind it, with the craftsmen, similarly in blacksmithing and all those types of trades. I guess that kind of played a part in influencing me.
I have a couple different products that Adam's made for myself. One of which is a leather-bound laptop case. It's extremely durable and all the wears with time. But that's also kind of the benefit of using leather and the characteristic it gains as you use it.
I get my own creative reward when I create something from this big piece of leather and into something more complicated, stitching, gluing.
With handmade leather, you can get unique pieces and custom stuff, which is kind of cool. So all of this stuff is handmade, unique, and it's something that's you want to pay some money for, especially if you're protecting something or something you want to keep for a long time. So you'd rather spend a little more and promote and support someone local rather than the big guys.
The final reward is when you can give it to a customer or a friend or somebody that will cherish it, and you can see how this item withstands the test of time and how they utilize it.
Coming up, pastry, cacao, and lots of ice cream at Ambrosia and Forall, right here after the break. Cacao, ice cream, pastry, and love. Ambrosia Pastry Company is back to basics, producing quality and delicious pastries.
When chocolate was first introduced for consumption, it was introduced as a drink, so it's a lot different than the way that we eat chocolates now. We stone grind our chocolate, which is something that a lot of the bean-to-bar makers are now doing, as opposed to using large industrial machines.
I think the most important step is to source out the proper beans. Essentially, our goal after that is to process it without messing it up, keeping the good qualities that are inherent in those beans.
I think the big thing for us is that we're not a chocolatier, we're a chocolate maker. We actually are sourcing beans from around the world and roasting those beans, selecting a profile for them, and then grinding them down on a stone grinder to turn it into a large batch of chocolate, and then from there we then temper it into bars for consumption. But as we started making chocolate, we realized that we really enjoyed making chocolate. We liked the process of making chocolate, and we also recognized that it was a non-perishable item that we could be making. We could tailor our hours more around it. And at the same time, then we started to kind of like, yeah, we kind of missed the retail aspect, and we're like, how can we still do that? And so that's why we decided, like, let's just be open one day a week, but let's do all those pastries that Tim really enjoys making.
We get to make the decisions here, so it's very inspiring to be able to come in and decide we want to change this, we want to evolve that or move things around. So it's really inspiring. We both wake up every day excited to come in here and try some new things and play around. And I love repetitiveness as well too, so I love the process of just doing the same thing over and over again. I really take pride in trying to be more efficient, so I enjoy those both aspects. I like to have the balance. It's nice to have both. I enjoy switching over to pastries. I love breads still, and I love being able to do chocolate work. It's just kind of two different disciplines that you can kind of jump back and forth between and play around with. I love chocolate, and I love working on chocolate, and it's one of my favorite things for sure, but just try to refine it. You know, after 15 years of constantly, more than 15 years trying to refine it, I still don't stop every day coming in trying to see if I can do a little bit better.
When you're in the food industry, you tend to start making the same things over and over again unless you sort of push yourself. You can get really burnt out and tired of making the same thing. So it's been really nice to only do this one day a week and for him to really be creative and have fun with Saturdays.
Now we'll keep sweet and local when we meet this amazing dessert place. For All Ice Cream brings the idea of accessible ice cream to everybody.
We had a bit of a problem in that one of my daughters was super sensitive to dairy, and so our experiences were it wasn't that fun going out for ice cream. Her choice was either to have nothing or be in pain. So the idea for All was really to make ice cream, which I believe everybody loves, more accessible to everybody. Ice cream is a blank canvas. I feel like I'm a creative person. I feel like most engineers are creative people, and so it was just kind of a good outlet. And so ice cream is something that is a perfect blank canvas to really create almost anything from.
Super small batch, like we do everything by hand here. Like scooping the ice cream is by hand when we're packaging, just all of that. Like she gets you excited about wanting to be a part of it.
It's local, mindful, and natural. So I mean, the local element we source from this area. Like one of the amazing things about Kitchener Waterloo is that there's so many producers in this area. This is the town to be in. I think there's a lot of exciting people doing exciting things in Kitchener Waterloo, and so that was a big part of feeling welcome.
We've got a great community as far as the culinary scene's concerned in KW.
That was kind of one of the question marks, the risk that I felt I was taking is, you know, why would I make something that everybody can get elsewhere? And so for us, we had a unique take on it. We had a unique spin on it. And we also, if you're following any of our social media, we love telling stories, and we like telling stories through our products. So I thought that's what really made us different. It wasn't just ice cream. There was kind of a story behind what we put forward.
Coming up, have you ever heard of a farrier? Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now we check out the pride and passion that goes into a trade that evolved from blacksmithing. Have you ever heard of a farrier? Giddy up as we join professional farrier Nick Vernem and ride into the world of horseshoe health.
I went to horseback riding lessons as a little kid. I ended up working on a horse farm, which I really liked, but started narrowing down my options, and that's how I ended up being a farrier. Right now I'm taking the edges off of the hoof wall, and then I'm going to smooth it out with my rasp here. This part's very important because it prevents the hoof from flaring outwards, which creates pressure points that can cause cracks. Not as glamorous as it might sound being a farrier, but here I am hunched over in my trailer. We're crawling around under farm animals, but it's a lot of fun to me.
If you have the skill, doing it as a craftsman would, molding anything else or polishing anything else, this is what comes into play when you're doing a horse's hoof.
Why would you work with horses in the first place? Well, if you're a Mennonite and you live around horses because you have to, or if you're a cowboy on a working cattle farm and you use horses to work beef cattle, and if you're crazy and you like to play with horses. These are the only 3 reasons to work on horses that I can think of.
The difficulty is this. It's like any other job. Not everybody's good at it. To find the good one, you can only know by the first time he's done your horse or maybe the second.
I love helping horses, and I love working with my hands. I love developing my craft and learning something new every day, and having a sense of accomplishment after everything I come back from. Being an entrepreneur is kind of an inherent part of this job too, and that's exciting and rewarding in its own way. And yeah, more than anything else, it's about helping horses and being a craftsman. And that's a very rewarding part of this job.
I always knew this is what I wanted to do, but I think most people have the dream and they don't know how to get there. And I didn't know how to get there, and the community pushed us there. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna open a bakery and then you went through the motions. It was other people coming together to make the whole process happen, and suddenly you are opening a bakery. Then people just wanted us to keep going, and then people were talking and everyone was just trying to help, and then there was this building, and then there was a loan, and then there was all these things, and then we were open, so. I really got enamored with the science and failed a lot, and that failure really just spurred me on to learn more and do more, and then before I knew it, it was becoming like this regular obsession of making better bread. We live in a community of people who are like-minded and are really focused on good food, quality products, and craftsmanship, so we have a good customer base for that. There's no way farmers aren't getting paid, people who are working hard aren't getting paid if you're paying $1 for loaves of bread. Staff who make it aren't getting paid, So I think people are starting to be like, this costs this much because it actually costs this much to make. I think people who value certain qualities is what drives them. They know they can see us, so our shop is open to the public. You see everything, all of the production space, so we're extremely transparent, and they see me and my guys working there every single day, so they know we're hardworking, and I think they like that. I think people associate with that and prefer it. A lot of people actually don't know what the process is, and it's always amazing when we have some customers standing up there and you dump the dough onto the table and we're all weighing it, and they're just like, wow, that's what it looks like? What is that? What is that going to be? And so I think, again, that transparency. We do strive to use quality ingredients and partner with local people. So, I mean, that is really important to a lot of people now. We use small suppliers who use real growing, wheat that's not built to do a certain thing. I mean, definitely when people come in and they're like, this is amazing, when people are happy with the product. But For me, it's just, I'm a busybody, and when you own your own business, you get to do everything. Like, you have to do everything. You have to be the bookkeeper, you have to be the front-facing person, you have to be the production manager. You're constantly learning. It's high stress, it's like high movement, but it just keeps you going, and it is rewarding when you collapse in the bed at night and you're just exhausted, but it's because you're working hard and people are happy. When your staff are happy, when everyone's happy, it's nice.
Coming up, we'll be back to talk about the barbering renaissance. Stay tuned.
It has its challenges, but being a girl in any industry does. I think I'm better for it.
People find it fascinating walking into the shop. A lot of people spend their time sitting behind a computer for their work, and coming in a place where there's physical stuff going on and fire, and we're heating things up and reshaping them is a whole other world.
There is that kind of, mystique to it of, ooh, the blacksmith, the big hammer and the strong dude. I mean, that's a pretty common trait. I think there is a bit of that draw to it, at least initially, just to get people looking into it and seeing what it is, and then you realize there's a whole lot more to it than just that.
We're so used to seeing and using objects that are mass-produced, and they're all exactly the same, that there's pendulum sort of swung the other way, and now people have a real appreciation for things that are made by hand.
I think there's hopefully always going to be people who realize that they don't just want that mass-produced thing that you can go out and anywhere and buy, and you're actually going to want something made by hand that you know who actually made this thing.
Really, the more you learn, the more there is to learn, and I think it's really about understanding the work and all these different aspects of the work on a whole other level.
When I realized I loved it, getting to forge metal and change that shape of it and transform the material that you have, it's just a lot of fun.
Ultimately, it's not about the money at all, it's about the work. but also to satisfy our own sort of desire to push the limits of what we've done or what we can do, and to be learning something new with every job.
For our final segment on Back to Basics, the team explores the barbering renaissance. What set the newest generation of barbers in motion? What do they have in common with their predecessors?
Somebody says barber, more often than not you're going to imagine an older gentleman in a white smock, not a red-headed girl in a dirty apron.
You get old school, new school, right? You get people that just like the salon atmosphere. You know, that's fine. But some people like the old-time barbershop. Yeah, barbershop experience with the barbershop haircuts and the banter and that goes on in the shop, and we just have a lot of fun.
You know, some people are more purists. I'm like, no, hairstyling is hairstyling, barbering is barbering. I like to think that I'm part of the newer generation who thinks that, you know, it can be both.
I think that the barbering and salons are different. I mean, people are personalities. You know, what kind of personality are the individuals?
It has its challenges, but being a girl in any industry does. I think I'm better for it.
People ask me, why do I do what I do? It's out of a passion, because I love the expression of people's face when they turn into the mirror and you know, I give them a fantastic haircut, and I believe in the little things. Just giving that special touch, you know. I always say that haircuts are, to me, like you rough it in like an artist. You rough it in, you do the work, and you do the polish. You do the little extras, right, to just make it like a picture. You touch up, make sure it looks nice and perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm working on perfection all the time because that's what drives me.
Everyone recognizes the red, blue, and white and knows, you know, it's a barbershop. Since the good old days, with straight razors, I mean, everyone gets a new blade now. Infection control, that's come a long way. Everything we do, we try to pay homage to our forefathers, but at the same time, we're a new generation, we're hungrier, we're less stubborn, we're open to trying new things, we're not stuck in our ways.
Thanks for watching Back to Basics. You can find more on ConestogaConnected.ca.